Hi, I'm Dr. Ryan, pediatrician and coach for physicians, here to help you finish your charting faster and get home sooner for what matters most to you. So I'm going to be here for the next little bit talking about charting, about workflows, and answering any questions that you guys have while providing some resources on how you can get your charting done faster. So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about was utilizing your schedule for pre-charting, to be able to say, like, as you come in, you look and see, like, hey, who's coming in, what's going on, what do they need today, and is there anything that can be done before I go in the room as the physician? So my staff is able to start some of these things in advance, whether it's a screening for depression, it's a developmental screener, if it's a specific condition-based thing, say asthma or ADHD. These things are important because we can better utilize our entire team to say, how can this day go smoothly? So deciding, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this change, it just starts with saying, what could this look like that's a little bit different? I'm going to make this change. It just starts with saying, what could this look like that's a little bit different? What could this look like that is a small step, a small investment that allows me to make a difference for whether I am able to get to lunch, whether I run over, any number of things. Because you being able to get a lunch, your staff being able to get a lunch, this all matters. This matters for your well-being. This matters for how you show up for yourself, whether you're totally exhausted or whether you've had a moment to refuel and recharge a little bit before you enter the afternoon or before you head home for the evening. And so I'd love to hear from you things that you may be dealing with, you may be curious about, that you may be wondering, how do I make this difference? How do I start these small steps towards getting charting and workflows done faster? So I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for all of you who have joined. And yeah, I'll drop in the chat some of those resources. So these are my top 10 tips to help you finish your charting faster. And so it's a free PDF guide. It's been really helpful. I've found a number of physicians, NPs, PAs who have really benefited from this, to be able to say, okay, it's not just pre-charting, it's also charting in the room. It's taking a moment to say, okay, I'm done with my orders, I've got this in, and how can I take that next step in getting my chart done here before I just say, well, I'll just do it later and rush on to the next room. Because as you know, it's hard to get through all the things that are needed in 15, 20-minute appointment. This is something that we all struggle with, and you're not alone. So giving yourself permission to say, I'm going to take this moment, this 30, 60, 90 seconds after my notes or my orders are in, to finish my note. It can make a big difference for you being able to have most or all of your charting done for that patient before going to the next one. Because unless you're in the emergency department, then you may not, at least in most cases, you probably won't have a real emergency in the next room. It's easy for us to make that up in our mind, to say, I have to go on to the next thing. I have to be in that next room because I'm 5 minutes over. And yet, by taking that extra minute or two to finish the chart while it's already open, You don't have to reopen it later. You don't have to rethink about it later. You just take that moment to get most of it down, or at least your assessment and plan what you're going to do about it. And then it helps me to be able to read back what I've been working on, what I've queued up for the patient, to say, this is where we've been. These are the things that we covered today. These are the orders I put in. This is when I want you back. I've got your note for school or note for work. And it really helps, because otherwise it's easy to be like, oh yeah, we said we were going to add those eardrops, or they wanted a prescription for Tylenol. And then at the end of the visit, sometimes it may get on there, and sometimes they may get out the door and are asking the staff, did that get sent? Many times it did, but sometimes it's easier to miss it if I'm not reviewing with the family in the room what's going on. So if you guys can give a wave and say hi, and put in the comments, what is your biggest challenge with charting these days? So thanks to all of you who have just joined. We're doing lunch chats with, I'm Dr. Ryan, and talking about charting and workflow, and how you can get your charting done faster so you can actually have a lunch. I definitely wasn't there my first year out of residency. My mornings would often run over. I'd be finishing up from the morning, and it might be a little bit later than usual, and then my first patient would be there a little bit early. It was pretty rough. So I'm checking the comments here. All right. 2 new messages. Perfect. So if you're wondering, like, is this possible? Because maybe you're in medicine and you're wondering, how do I actually get time to have lunch when I just keep going and going and going? Yeah, there's a lot of things that you're responsible for. And yet, by implementing some of these systems things, about believing it's possible, you can start to make small changes that really add up. Because when I was first out of residency, I had a colleague who would finish all his notes in the room. It was like, or at least by the end of the day, and I was like, how do you do that? He'd been there for probably at least 25 years, and I was honestly a little jealous. I was wondering, how does this work? How do you get this all done? And so he would go in, see the patient. He was efficient. He'd come out, write his note, and then go on to the next one. And so he was able to build a sustainable practice by doing that. For me, I realized after going through burnout less than 8 months out of residency that it was a lot. That there was stuff that was new to me, new to my workflows, but then there were things that were definitely more of I just didn't know how to kind of bring that containment to say, like, okay, these are the things we're going to address now. These are the things that I need to get done. And these are the things that maybe through synthesizing my note rather than having a perfect note, it's okay to have fragments. It's okay to have things that are summarized And this is the adequate but not amazing, perfect prose notes. The kind of notes that I had in my first full history and physical that I did second year of med school. It was definitely a shift because so much of medical training is about doing the things perfectly. There's excellence, there's competition, you hear about the gunners, and you're trying to do better and better and better. And as an aside, taking step one and making it pass fail, while it's good in one sense, the differentiator then becomes step two, and so it just transfers all that stress of step one onto step two of the USMLE licensing exams. So for those of you still in training, I see you, and it's a different challenge than it was when I was going through. But it's still a huge weight, and it's okay to say, hey, I'm struggling. And you don't have to be perfect. Your notes don't have to be perfect. They need to be done. They need to convey what needs to be conveyed. Yes, many times these days notes end up being more for billing, but they're still for patient care, for communicating, for the medical legal purposes. But just know that eventually that perfectionism, that striving for excellence, and it's a fine line. I was there and just wanted to do well, wanted to keep improving. I had to get it just right. And yet taking the time to build the systems and the mindset of saying, it's okay that I'm not doing a perfect note. It's okay that this is adequate. I'm building the scripts, I'm building the process so that I can document appropriately, adequately, but not excessively, to be able to get that in a way that really served me and served my patients and ultimately allowed me to care for myself. And for those of you who are wondering, like, how do you do that? Like, the demands of medicine just keep going. Just remember that you are one human being, one individual, and you're finite. We often try to say that we can do all the things, that we're here for you, we're here for anyone. And I very much resonate with that. I want to be here to give great care to anyone. And yet, if I say that I can provide all the care to everyone all the time, it's not realistic. It's saying that I'm more than I am as one human being. And it puts undue pressure on myself. This may be your story. This may be the pressure that you are putting on yourself, that the system is putting on you that they shouldn't be. Because many of these things are systems issues. It's not just an individual saying, oh, I'm gonna do all this, but it's the environment that we're in. It's the system, the structure around, especially for those of us who are employed, that says it comes with different challenges. There's challenges in any work scenario, whether you're independent, private practice, employed, hospital-based, clinic-based, there's different challenges. You just get to choose what those challenges are based on which structure you're in. And giving yourself permission to say, if this isn't working for me, how can I make a change? It might be that you needed to cut back a little bit of time like I did. I'm now 0.85. I have some informatics time, some clinical time, and still primarily clinic-based, but I have a few things that allow me to have a sustainable rhythm, to be able to give back, to invest, help my colleagues with the EMR that we use, and to be able to provide some feedback on how the user experience could be better on implementation of some of these tools. And it's a matter of saying, I can choose what that looks like for me. I maintained the margin after residency. We didn't take up all of my 1.0 attending salary with a huge house or something else that was going to tie up my ability to cut back if needed. And it might look like for you that you do your research and you say like, hey, I'm going to start my own practice, or I'm going to do locums, or I'm going to go to another system, or even move cities or states. It's just giving yourself permission to say, like, just because it hasn't happened yet, or it hasn't happened in the past, doesn't mean that it couldn't happen. And so I just want to give you permission to dream bigger, to say, what if this could be different? Because it's not hopeless. You have options. You have the ability to choose, like, how am I going to respond if I'm going to stay in this situation? About 6 years ago, I had something come up where I was told that this was going to be my assignment for the next number of months. It was a day a week at a location that I didn't normally go to, and yet it was more of an FYI, more of a notification from the leader rather than really me getting to choose it. And yet I was like, this is still the system for me, and we were able to revisit it later, and it was able to work out. But for some, it might be saying, no, that change that's being proposed, that structural change, maybe to your templates, to your schedule, to your location, maybe that's not going to work for you, and you start looking for something else, and that's okay. Maybe you say, how can I negotiate, advocate with data to have the leverage to say, I need this, and this is why it makes sense for the group, for the company, for our patients or clients. This is why it matters, and how it is a win-win. Sometimes it's not a win-win, but many times you can make a case in a way that says, hey, this is going to benefit us both, or this is what's coming, these are the changes, someone's leaving, I want to fill this or move my schedule around here. If you don't speak up, no one knows. If you don't advocate and say, no, this is what I want, what I need for this next season, and having an idea of what you're doing, what you want, where you have the flexibility financially to say, okay, if this doesn't happen, I may be cutting 10 or 20% because I'm going to be doing something else or taking on a different leadership role or teaching or so forth. You have possibilities. And so as you go into the rest of your day, I just wanted to encourage you that no matter where you're at, you can take a next step forward. You can take that next step towards caring for yourself, towards improving your workflows, finishing your charting, finishing the work so that you can go home and be present for what matters most to you. And so if that's you, I'd love to get you my free charting tips PDF. It's at mededwell.com/charting tips, and it's at the link in the comments. And if you're like, no, I'd love to get that, but I'd love to work with you, I'd love to be your coach. I am certified as a coach and going through some additional training with the ICF credentialed program to be able to provide additional support for you. And in the coming months, I have available some really cool opportunities by doing pay what works for you pricing, because I have a certain amount of hours as part of this program. So even though I'm certified, I'm getting additional hours, and it's an opportunity for you to get coaching. I even have some where if you buy one, you can get an additional hour free. I have 25 of those left at the moment. And I would love to help you one-on-one, our sessions, be able to make some of these changes. Because it's often that we know the general way we need to go or where we're stuck, but we don't know that next step forward. It's an opportunity not to just get a bunch of advice. You're like, I can go get the advice, but it's getting the space to explore where you're at and to come to some of those aha moments, those realizations. You're like, oh, well, actually, that's what's been holding me back. And so if that's you, I would love to help you take that next step. You can find out more by going to mededwell.com/coaching. I really appreciate you all joining today, and I look forward to talking to many of you soon.